So in this video, I'm going to do a review of long division. We're going to start off with numbers that are smaller and then move to bigger numbers later. So if you look here, this is a division problem. It says 362 divided by 2. So in this problem, I'm trying to figure out how many sets of 2 can I fit into 362. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use the division symbol in a second in the division house. But I want to name these things first and tell you what they're called. That 2, the thing I'm dividing by, is called the divisor. And that's the thing that I'm trying to figure out how many of it fit into the other number. The other number is called the dividend. Now, those are important mathematical terms, but if you don't remember them, you can still do the math, because what's happening is I'm going to put this number here under the house. I'm going to put this number here outside of it. So the first step here is I'm going to try and figure out how many times does 2 go into the first digit. In this case here, 2 goes into 3 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. So that's why I put it there. And I have 1 left over. So I've multiplied the 1 times the 2 here, and that's why it ended up underneath there on the bottom there, because 1 times 2 is 2. So now the next step is I'm going to bring down the 6. So now I have a new problem. 2, how many times does 2 divide into 16? And 2 divides into 16 8 times. Now I do this again. I do 8 times 2, and that equals 16. So I'm going to put down 16 here. I'm going to subtract that amount. And when I subtract, I'm left with plain old 0. So now I've got to deal with every digit in the problem, so I'm going to go ahead and bring down the 2. So how many 2's fit into 0, 2? Well, 1 does. And then again, I do 1 times 2, and then I put that down there. 1 times 2 is 2. Subtract, and I'm left with a 0. So the answer to this problem is 181. So new problem here, just to keep practicing. 535 divided by 7. So this is the number I'm trying to fit into this number here. So 535 divided by 7. So I'm going to start this process again. How many times does 7 go into 5? It goes in 0 times. I can't fit any in there. I can still do this. 0 times 7 is 0 if I want. And then I'm going to subtract 0 from 5. I end up with a 5. So now I'm going to bring down the 3. So how many times does 7 divide into 53? So if you know your math facts, then it might come to you right away. If not, it'll take a little bit of practice. The answer here is actually going to be 7. It's going to be 40. 7 times 7 is 49. So now I'm going to subtract again, and I'm left with 4. So bring down the 5 again. That's the last digit I've got to deal with. How many times does 7 divide into 45? It divides in 6 times. That's going to be 42, because 6 times 7 equals 42. Then I subtract, and I'm left with 3. I don't have any more digits to deal with up here. So I don't have anything else to bring down. So the answer to this question is going to be 76, and then this part here is going to be what's called the remainder, with a remainder of 3. And frequently people will just write down 76 R3. So new problem here, 3,792 divided by 9. So in this case here, 9 is the divisor, so it goes on the outside. 3,000 792 is the dividend, so it goes on the inside. This time around, I'm going to deliberately make a mistake and show you how to fix it. So 9 goes into 3 0 times. 0 times 9 is 0. Subtract, you end up with 3. Bring down the 7. So now I'm going to try and figure out how many 9s go into 37. And the answer is 4, but let's say instead I make a mistake and I think it's going to be 3. I'm going to write that in green because I know it's a mistake. 3. 3 times 9 is 27. So now when I subtract it, I end up with 10. The problem here is I could fit another 9 into that 10. So that means my number, that number of 9s I fit in, should be more than 3. So I should try 4 instead, which is what I'm going to do now. So 4 times 9 is 36. As I said before, subtract, you're going to bring down the 1. Now, and now I'm bringing down that 9. How many times does 9 go into 19? It goes in 2 times. That'd be 18. And bring down the 2. And now how many times does 9 go into 12? It goes 1 time. And subtract, I'm going to end up with 3 over here. So the answer is 4, 21, remainder 3. So new problem here. I'm going to make a different mistake this time around and show you how to fix it. 3,587 divided by 6. So again, the divisor goes on the outside. The dividend goes on the inside. So how many times does 6 go into 3? It goes in 0 times. So 0, subtract, bring down. So now I'm going to bring down the 5. So if I know my 6's facts, the answer to this is actually going to be 5 6's fit into 35 because that would be 30. But let's say instead I go with 6. If I do that, 6 times 6 is 36. So my problem now here is that I went ahead and screwed up again because this here is bigger than that there. That means this number here is too big because I tried to fit too many 6's into it. So I'm going to fix that now. So as I said, 5 times 6 is 30. Subtract, you end up with 5. Bring down the 8. 6 goes into 58. How many times? It goes in 9 times, so that would be 54. 4, bring down the 7. And again, I ran out of space. So now I'm going to say how many times does 6 go into 47? That's going to go in a total of 7 times. And that would be 47 minus 42. It's going to be a 5. So the answer is 597, remainder 5. So this is how to do longer division the traditional way. I hope that makes sense and will help you review if you like that method. If you prefer to do it the box method, which is, in my opinion, a little bit easier, and also it gets rid of all this extra stuff down here. It makes it just easier to see, I think. Then I'm going to do that in another video that I'll share with you as well.